The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome in to the Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network. It's brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. I'm Jason Longshore. We've got seasons starting in Major League Soccer and South America, still early days in Brazil and Argentina. You got seasons tightening in Europe. You've got pressure rising everywhere we look. Matchday 1 in MLS is in the books. The North London Derby delivered a statement, maybe 2 actually. Barcelona back on top in Spain, and across the globe, managers, title contenders, relegation candidates, all feeling the heat. Let's get into it. Let's start with Atlanta United, a 2-0 loss in Cincinnati. Now, look, results matter. They always do, but context matters as well. One of the things that we're going to do differently here at the SDH Network this year is tell the story in different ways of each match. You're going to get 3 distinct lenses after every Atlanta United game. So first, you'll get the match recap immediately after the final whistle. It's the foundation. It's what happened. It's when it happened. It's the key moments. It's the shape of the game, the emotional temperature. It's the basics of what happened. So in Cincinnati, that meant acknowledging both the competitiveness in stretches and the momentum swings that went Cincinnati's way and ultimately tilted the match. The building blocks were visible, but so were the margins. Then you will get Maddie's version. Madison Cruz will give you the heartbeat, what it felt like, the frustration, the flashes of promise, the moments that linger after the final whistle. Her perspective will capture the human side of the performance, and that's important in a long season. She'll give you her reaction, Maddie's version, after the game, after post-game duties on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app, or before we leave the stadium for home games. Then, third, you'll get the long view. Every Monday morning, you'll get more of the analytical side. I'll dig into some of the stats, some of the numbers, some of the trends in the game, try to quantify some of those momentum shifts that we feel. It's kind of a way for me to go back and look at numbers and see if it matched how the game felt to me. We try to double-check that way that the game felt by using the quotes from the players from Tata Martino afterwards. Helps tell you, I think it helps tell me as much as anything, what feels sustainable, what isn't. Were there moments of chaos? Were there moments of momentum being quantified? How did the game tilt? Where did the final third entry stack up? Things like that. What does the dual number say versus the eye test? It'll be facts, it'll be feelings, it'll be framework. That's the model for us and how we'll cover Atlanta United matches this season. My takeaways from Saturday in Cincinnati, I think Atlanta was good in stretches of the first half. I thought they were organized. I really feel better about it after looking at some of the numbers, which might sound weird, in terms of understanding what Tata Martino wants, understanding the kind of soccer that he wants to see, and I think the players are committed to that. I liked the fight. I liked the scrappiness. I liked the nastiness, as Matt Edwards told us in preseason. I liked all of those elements. I feel good about that, and I think that's sustainable. I think in this one, you lost control of it over time because you were forced into playing long more often than not. Cincinnati was winning the first ball and winning the second ball more often than not. So it was really difficult to get anything sustainable going. Cincinnati then is able to start pinning you deeper, and they started to tilt the match in their direction. Even with all that, the first goal comes from a turnover, and I thought Enea Mihai really broke it down best, where you can't have that pass lateral in that moment. Miguel Almiron trying to switch it to Alexei Miranchuk, which in and of itself is fine, but when you have that pass get turned over, it's deflected by Samuel Guidi. Cincinnati is breaking the other way while you are flat-footed looking for a lateral pass, a square pass. So they're past you by the time you can react. Playing a high line, that puts a lot of pressure on the back line. Ultimately, it creates a 2v1 on Mikai. He does the best he can. They still almost get out of it. Hoyos is scrambling on the ground. I saw some people trying to make something of that. He held that play up as long as he could. I think there's people who like to make narratives out of everything. I saw some national people talking about Lucas Hoyos in that, and I thought Lucas Hoyos played well. He had a couple of big plays in this game. I don't have a problem with how he defended that situation. It's a 2v1. By doing what he did, he forces Dinke to take a wider step to the left. Defenders are getting back. He almost gives his team a chance to clear it off the line. So, again, context. And then the second goal is a set piece that, look, you can't give up set piece goals. You have to try to go find set piece goals. Run a play. Cincinnati took control of it and tilted the game, but it's two different kinds of goals that you give up, and ultimately you fall 2-0 in this one. We'll see what happens this week as the team gets ready to head out to San Jose to face the Earthquakes on Saturday of next week. We'll be leaving on Thursday, so you'll get a morning espresso from the Bay Area on Friday morning, and we'll get you ready for everything Atlanta, San Jose all week long on the SDH Network. Let's look around MLS as a whole for the weekend. You had 46 goals across match day 1, over 3 per game. I like that. The glamour fixture was LAFC hosting Miami at the LA Memorial Coliseum. 75,673 fans in attendance, largest opening day crowd in league history. Love that. Son Heung-min pulled the strings. Denny Boanga with a goal. LAFC was excellent in this one, and Miami get blanked 3-0. For the Herons, it's a reminder that defending a title in this league is brutal. No Sergio Busquets, no Jordi Alba. Their retirements, I thought, showed up in this one. Lionel Messi visibly frustrated during the game and in the tunnel afterwards. Now, this is another thing where I want to jump on a soapbox here for a second and explain a couple of things because, again, we talk about context on the SDH Network. There were a lot of things shared about this incident that took away all of the context in search of reaction. There was a lot of performative nonsense around this video because if you know stadiums, and I think a lot of the people who were sharing this should know better in this situation, and some of the things that they were trying to link it to, they should know better because they're in these stadiums. You're not going to have the referee's locker room behind a glass door that anybody can open. That's not how these things work. So I think some of the initial videos that started making the rounds late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, were insinuating that Messi is going into the referee's locker room when he goes into that door. He's not. And anybody who has been in a stadium would know that because there'd be security, and 2 referees' locker rooms are not going to have a glass door because no locker room has a glass door to it. We know better than this, right? We should. But when you look for clicks, sometimes you start things that aren't true. And then now I've seen this spread around where people are saying like, oh, well, Messi went into the referee's locker room and he's not getting punished because he's Lionel Messi. No, Messi didn't go into the referee's locker room. That's a fact. He did not. MLS has clarified that he goes into what is a hallway. The referee's locker rooms are in another room in that hallway. He doesn't go into that. He's in the hallway, I think, for about 8 seconds. He should not have been yelling at the referees there and trying to follow them. No. If you want to fine him for that, no problem. If you want to suspend him a game for that, it feels like a little bit of a stretch, but okay. That was not a secured area. He didn't go anywhere that he wasn't supposed to be to yell at referees. But if you want to do that, fine. That's a precedent, and be safe with that and be careful with that and do it consistently. I don't have a problem with any of that. But some of the people trying to make an equation to Matt Miazga, again, performative nonsense. Matt Miazga went into the referee's locker room. Not what Lionel Messi did. It's not the same thing. Miazga getting 3-game suspension, for people saying Messi should have got a 3-game suspension, again, you are either lying or being lied to and then spreading false narratives. We've got to do better. Stop chasing clicks, stop chasing performative outrage, and tell the accurate story with the proper context. This isn't that difficult. It's not. So now you have people, and I'm seeing it on social media, I'm seeing it on Reddit, where people are saying the league is bending over for Lionel Messi again with whatever. It's not true. It's not the same thing. I would have no problem if they fine him for that. That's fine. No problem with that. But I don't think anything he did warranted a suspension. If you want to do that, you're setting a very high precedent, which, again, the league's prerogative if you want to do that. But then you're going to have to be consistent about it across the board. And I think you're going to see a lot of coaches and players suspended for yelling at referees once you get into the tunnel. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. But soapbox, I think, crushed now. Sorry for that. Let's bounce around the rest of the league. That had been bugging me for a while. It was a long travel weekend for Atlanta United. We had some delays getting back to Atlanta, so that one had been building for a minute. The bigger takeaway from this for me is LAFC looked like LAFC under Steve Cherundolo, but now under Marc Dos Santos. Only 34% possession. They generated 6 big chances. They defended well. They transitioned with intent. They were a handful in this game. Elsewhere, Michael Bradley's Red Bulls became the first team in MLS history to start 3 players 17 or younger in a regular season match, and they won in Orlando and probably could have won by a lot more if not for Maxime Crépeau. Julian Hall scored twice. Adri Mehmedi pulled the strings. Really good young talent for the Red Bulls, and Michael Bradley's team gets off to a great start. San Diego, they smashed Montreal 5-0, featuring 5 teenagers in the squad. Houston came back. They were down 1-0. They come back to win 2-1. Nashville, they put 4 on New England, and it could have been more. Portland and Columbus delivered some chaos for sure. The early theme so far, the league is deep. The arms race is real, and the kids are going to be ones to watch. Dallas, they edged Toronto 3-2. Paramusa's clinical finishing. Mentioned Portland and Columbus, the 3-2 chaotic win. Seattle, total control over Colorado late last night, 2-0. St. Louis, I think, showed some promise. DC showed some promise. We're still waiting on James Rodriguez. We're still waiting on Timo Werner. Toronto, still waiting on the official announcement on Josh Sargent. A lot of fun in match day 1, and match day 2 is right around the corner. All right, let's go to North London. Arsenal, they heard all the noise leading into this one. Everybody's saying they're slipping. Everybody's saying that, it's the same old Arsenal. Here we go again. Well, no, not so much. They were very sharp. They were focused. They were unified. Mikel Arteta talked about anger, alignment, lifting each other up after recent performances. It showed. Victor Gyökeres delivered his best Arsenal performance. Eberechieze, he looked liberated. Bukayo Saka, he set the tone from minute 1. He was dominant. He was technical. He was assertive. Yeah, there was a little bit of a wobble and a mistake that briefly reopened the door for Tottenham Hotspur. Well, Arsenal didn't retreat. They accelerated. They looked very sure of themselves, and they go through and get the decisive win in this one. On the Tottenham side of things, though, it's a lot more urgent picture at the moment. Igor Tudor, the interim manager, he faces 11 league matches to steer Spurs clear of relegation danger. They don't have a league win in 2026. There's only 4 points separating them from the drop zone. It's a real threat. Upcoming fixtures against Fulham and Palace could define their trajectory, and they're just not looking dangerous in the attack at all. Arsenal, is this the game where they really stake their claim on the trophy? Tottenham Hotspur, is this the game where they really fall into a relegation scrap? We're going to find out as we go. Let's go to Spain. Barcelona, they are back on top in La Liga. They had wobbled against Atleti, against Girona. They cruised past Levante 3-0. Real Madrid lost over the weekend, so Barcelona back on top by a point. Marc Bernal scored early. Frankie de Jong ended a goal drought dating back to January of last year. Fermin Lopez came off the bench and smashed a 25-yard thunderbolt into the top corner. It was controlled. It was efficient. It was confident. It was Barcelona. They managed everything in this moment. So they're back on top. The pressure swinging back to Real Madrid, who has Champions League this week. We'll get you set for that as we go this week. God, it's a busy week, isn't it? Around the corner, SDH AM live at 9:05 this morning on YouTube and Twitch. John Nelson hosting. Full weekend breakdown, all the reaction. Monday mornings, it's all about reaction on the SDH network. Plenty to unpack after MLS Matchday 1, packed slate across Europe. Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game, our very own Madison Cruz, and Bart Keeler from the Soccer for US podcast. We'll be talking Atlanta United, we'll be talking MLS, we'll be talking Arsenal, we'll be talking all the stuff from overseas. This is the first conversation of the week. Get in on it this morning. If you miss it live, you can always catch it on demand on Twitch and on YouTube and as a podcast later today. All right, the refill. Pour yourself another cup. Let's get caught up on a couple of other bits of news worldwide. Gianluca Prestiani, he has given evidence to UEFA after allegedly abusing Vinícius Jr. in the Champions League. He reportedly admitted to using an anti-gay slur rather than the word mono, but UEFA's Article 14 carries the same 10-match ban framework for both racist and anti-gay abuse. He's not helping himself here. It's still bad. Real Madrid submitted evidence to the contrary. Kylian Mbappe reportedly testified as well. The investigation will continue, but I don't think there will be a ruling before these teams meet this week in Champions League. And the reaction between those two players after the teams come out will be very, very interesting. PSG, they returned to the top in Liga. They beat Metz 3-0, 2 points clear after Monaco stunned Lens. Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola, and Gonzalo Ramos all scored. Lens had led 2-0 before conceding 3 in 8 minutes. So the summit in Liga has tightened up substantially. Sheffield Wednesday, they become the first ever EFL club relegated as early as February, dealing with an 18-point deduction, 11 straight losses, minus 7 points after 33 games. Just a brutal season for Sheffield Wednesday. James Milner, he breaks the record, 654 Premier League appearances. Milner passes Gareth Barry. 23 seasons, his durability is going to be his legacy. Still doing it for Brighton at this point, James Milner. Dick Advocaat, he has stepped down from the managerial spot with Curaçao due to his daughter's health issues, stepping away months before the World Cup. The 78-year-old had guided the Caribbean nation, population of about 156,000, to qualification, smallest country ever to reach the World Cup, surpassing Iceland in 2018. Former PSV and Feyenoord coach Fred Rutten will take over as Curaçao prepare to face Germany in June. Marcelo Gallardo, he is reportedly evaluating his future at River after a third straight defeat in the Apertura in Argentina. According to El Gráfico, Gallardo has asked for 48 hours to reflect amid mounting pressure and a run of 12 losses in the club's last 20 games. River struggling in attack. They're not responding well after conceding. Fans are frustrated. Board has not signaled plans to dismiss Marcelo Gallardo, but they have to be frustrated as well. Coming days could mark a pivotal moment for River and in Gallardo's second stint at the Monumental. The Scottish Premiership race tightened dramatically as Rangers drew at Livingston. Celtic lost at home to Hibs, opening the door for Hearts to move 4 points clear at the top. Motherwell's 5-0 win over St. Mirren added further intrigue with the possibility that neither Glasgow Giant finishes in the top 2 now entering the conversation. Derby match is looming, multiple games in hand across the contenders. It is going to be volatile all the way through. Casemiro, we know he's going to leave Manchester United when his contract expires in the summer, and reports are emerging with MLS as a possible destination. The 34-year-old midfielder has reportedly drawn interest from multiple clubs in MLS. The lifestyle, the league structure, factors appealing as he weighs his next step. United manager Michael Carrick has praised Casemiro's leadership and form, suggesting that he remains capable of competing at the highest level. 4 games in Mexico were postponed after the Mexican army killed cartel leader Nemesio Ruben Osegura Cervantes, known as El Mencho, near Guadalajara. Roadblocks, unrest across multiple states prompted the suspension of top-tier and second-division fixtures, although Mexico's scheduled international friendly outside of FIFA dates against Iceland has not yet been officially postponed. That will be played in Querétaro. Guadalajara remains set to host World Cup matches this summer, and we'll see how all of this shakes out over the coming days. One of the games that was postponed was Liga MX Femenil with Chivas and Club America. Let's go to Brazil. Fernando Diniz, he was surprisingly dismissed as the manager of Vasco da Gama. 1-0 loss to Fluminense in the Carioca semifinal. Club president Pedrinho announced the decision late Sunday night. Pedrinho had publicly backed Diniz as long as results improved, but internal pressure from directors and advisors became untenable after a run of poor performances limited attacking output. Sources say that the demotion was communicated to Diniz in the locker room shortly after the game. Assistant Bruno Lazzaroni stepping in as the interim boss, Vasco leadership beginning the search for a long-term replacement. Opening weekend set the tone for teams, but they don't define seasons. Atlanta United leaves Cincinnati with lessons to absorb, but a structure in place to build from here. Feels like some foundational elements were set. A baseline was set, as you read in Maddie's version. Don't forget, every Atlanta United match, we will have a game story. We will have Maddie's version. We will have the long view. 3 different ways of looking at the game each and every match this season. 33 more regular season games to go. Across MLS and South America, you got seasons just beginning to take shape. In Europe, the margins are tightening with every match in the back half of the campaign. You got title races, you got relegation scraps, you got managerial futures hanging in the balance, momentum shifting in very different ways depending on the calendar. February always tempts some overreaction. Smart move typically is to log the signals without mistaking them for conclusions. We'll reset, we'll watch closely, we'll come back tomorrow ready to track whatever shifts next in the world of soccer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the SDH network. Please like and share and all the things to help more people find us as we continue to grow in 2026, our 10th season of covering the game from here in Atlanta. It's crazy to think that we started this thing back in January of 2017, and now we're starting our 10th season of coverage. Thanks to all of you for being part of it, whether you've been with us from day one. I know some of you were with us back in the Peachtree Post days, even before day one, or if you just found us yesterday. Thank you for being part of the SDH family, and we'll be back tomorrow to share some more Morning Espresso.